Tak já vás tady vítám zatím všechny Čechy a česky mluvící na přednášce o persekuci českých, německých a polských swingových tanečních osudy muzikantů. Bude to hlavně o tom, jaký byly jejich rozdíly a naopak stejnosti, nevím, jak to říct lépe česky, a nebo o tom, co uvidíme, co se tady jako vyvine. Jo? Než ještě představím hosty, tak potřebujeme tady vyřešit technické věci. Přesně. A to tak, že máme tady nějaký jakoby zahraniční hosty. A jak to bude probíhat je, že Petr Koura bude mluvit česky a zbytek hostů prezentujících budou mluvit anglicky. Já předpokládám, že všichni Češi, co tady jste, tak mluvíte anglicky. Pokud ne, tak se prosím teďka přihlašte. A řešení pro vás nemám, už víte vody, případně. Ale jakože je v pohodě. Takže českou část pochopíte a anglicky všichni umíte na to, abyste slyšeli zbytek, rozuměli zbytku. Je to tak? Jo? Super, protože ty, co nerozumějí česky, tak mají možnost to mít přeložený v bilance. A já to řeknu v angličtině. Jo, neboj. Ještě tady představím hosty, takhle zleva doprava. Máme Petra Kouru, což je náš český reprezentant tady z naší schůze. Pak je tady Natalie Reinsch. All the names are worst thing for me because I will make them sound really bad.
It's okay.
Natalie je za německou sekci. Pak tady máme Justinu Gorgoň a Michala Měgoně, jo? Za polskou sekci, ty jsou zde a to jsou Okay, now I'll switch to English so the rest of you can understand. We have these guests that I'm going to first introduce, so I'm going to now start from the right. We've got Michal Miergoń and Justyna Gorgoń from Poland. Natalie Reinsch from Germany. And Petr Koura from Czech. We will have some part in Czech language, and therefore, those who don't speak Czech, can you just raise your hands so we can see who you are? We've got. We've got two translators. Is that the correct word? Two lovely girls who's going to help us with the translation. So if you want to understand what's going on when Petr speaks, because he's going to speak in Czech, go to their corner and they will take care of you and they will simultaneously translate if I'm saying that correctly. Yes. Okay? Natalie, Michal and Justyna will speak in English. Right?
Yes.
Just to make it fun.
To make it even more complicated. Thanks. Okay, so I leave it to you guys. Thank you very much for coming. All of you. You can
Thank you.
Yes, so thank you very much for the invitation. We will start. So this is our topic because we are from the project And As Injustice Degenerated Music. And today we will focus on the persecution of Czech, German and Polish swing dancers and jazz musicians by Nazi regime. So, first of all, I want to ask you, what exactly was it about jazz and swing that bothered the National Socialists? So, if you have any ideas, just raise your hand.
Like getting together somehow? Getting together?
Okay.
Groups?
I think it was also a topic. But not the first reason. Yes?
A form of freedom that they couldn't control?
Yes. Form of freedom, yes. They couldn't control it.
Originated in Afro-Americans?
Yes, very good. It's, the Afro-American culture. Any other ideas?
It was coming from the enemy.
Yes. yes, then during Second World War, this was also the enemy culture. So, yeah. One of the reasons was what you already mentioned. It came from the USA. It would become the enemy culture, country, and the roots of jazz lie in these Afro-American traditions like blues and gospel, and in which improvisation and individuality play a major role. And individuality and improvisation was nothing that National Socialists liked. They didn't want people to be individualistic. And yes, also because jazz was created by mixing cultural influences in New Orleans, and it was a modern and avant-gardistic style, and both like mixing cultural influences and avant-gardistic and modern styles were rejected by National Socialists. And also there were many Black and Jewish musicians among the well-known artists. So to conclude, we can say that jazz and its performers were a welcome opportunity for the National Socialists to spread their racist, anti-Semitic, nationalists, anti-individualistic and anti-modern ideology. So you have perhaps seen our promotion for this event, and there was this poster like Swingtanzen verboten, Reichskulturkammer. So this is very popular, and a lot of people think that it is original. But the truth is that this sign originates from a promotion campaign of the 1970s, and we don't have a proof that this was in this form placed in cafes and bars during National Socialism, because there was no federal ban of swing dance in Nazi Germany, which is interesting because witnesses tell us about prohibition signs. And we also know that jazz music, especially hot jazz, was already prohibited in February 1933. And there was a ban of jazz music in the radio, and this was since October 1935. So, why do the witnesses see these prohibition signs? It is because we have found this letter. It is a letter of Reichspropagandaamt, so Federal Ministry of Propaganda from Weser-Ems, which was the district where Bremen belonged to. And it's from 1938. It says, via the economic group of the catering and accommodation industry, the owners of coffee houses and similar catering establishments are requested to display signs in their establishments announcing that there is no swing dancing here, and that the visiting bands must be aware by the manager of the establishment that the hot playing must be refrained from. So the institution of Reichsmusikkammer, so Federal Chamber of Music, left it up to individual Gauleiters and NS functionaries to issue bans on swing dance and swing music for their respective areas of power, because there was no federal ban. So if you look at the situation in Bremen, there was no police ban. Why? This is the same letter again. It is a letter which was written by this propaganda ministry to the mayor of Bremen and Osnabrück and Oldenburg. And it says, in various places, the mayors have already personally banned swing dancing. However, it is now time to fundamentally eliminate this growing epidemic, as there has been no regulation I would ask you to instruct your subordinate departments to prohibit swing dancing and hot playing as a matter of principle, as swing dancing is a threat to morals and morality, at least for the Weser-Ems district. This would establish a fundamental regulation would have been made. However, this measure will only be fully successful if it is supported by a police ban, as in Oldenburg or Osnabrück. And when the mayor of Bremen received this letter, he asked the police president from Oldenburg and Osnabrück about the legal provisions and the wording and whether this ban was successful. And the Oldenburg police wrote back that the ban didn't exist. And also Bremen police president wrote to the mayor that it is not the task of the police to control swing dancing, and it should be the task of the party, so the Gestapo, Geheime Staatspolizei. So Mayor Böhmka from Bremen again asked Reichspropagandaamt, Weser-Ems, about the wording and the legal provisions of the prohibition, but he never received an answer. So this is how they tried to bring police to prohibit it, but police just rejected it because, yeah, this is the question, why? Because they didn't want to be responsible, or they just didn't care, because in Bremen it was obviously not such a big problem, because there were like perhaps 150 to 200 swing youths, and they were not so visible. So now I would like to ask Petr to tell us a little bit about the appearance of the Czech swing youth.
Takže já navážu tedy do protektorátu Čechy a Morava, který vzniká v březnu 1939, kdy tedy německá vojska napochodují do českých zemí a samozřejmě nacistická nařízení začínají platit i u nás. Týká se to právě i té nenávisti vůči jazzové a swingové hudbě, která do té doby byla v Československu velice oblíbená, mimo jiné díky osvobozenému divadlu Voskovce, Vericha a Ježka, kteří byli populární zejména u mladé generace. A vlastně není to náhoda, že v prosinci 1938 tito tři pánové odcházejí do Spojených států, do exilu, kde potom za války působí v propagandistickém vysílání, protože tuší, že to tedy nebude s touto hudbou brzy v Čechách jaksi v pořádku a že ta hudba bude pronásledována. Vedle té hudby nám někdy na přelomu let 39-40 vzniká subkultura, která se hlásí k té swingové hudbě, stejně jako v Hamburku a v Brémách. A zajímavé je, že ta centra neměly mezi sebou kontakty, nebo nepodařilo se nám to zdokumentovat. Takže dá se říci, že to vzniká spontánně v různých místech celé Evropy. Je to samozřejmě ve Francii, je to také v Rakousku a tedy v Německu tím největším centrem jsou právě přístavní města Hamburg a Brémy. A u nás je to Praha a Brno. Ti mladí lidé, tady máme právě kresbu, jak vypadali. Říkali si potápky a bedly. Proč tohle označení? Asi začneme u těch bedel, tam je to jednodušší. Bylo to podle výstředního klobouku, který připomínal klobouk známé houby, tedy bedly. Zatímco potápky, tak tam to označení nejspíše vzniklo z taneční figury, kdy tedy mládenci, chlapci šli do podřepu a zase tedy nahoru a vypadalo to, jako by se potápěli pod hladinu, tedy pod vodní hladinu. Takže že se potápějí a zase vynořují. Autorem tohoto označení má být údajně první český swingový zpěvák Arnošt Kafka, který právě tedy z pódia viděl ty mladíky vynořující se jakoby nad hladinu a říkal, oni vypadají jako potápky, tedy jako vodní ptáci. Můžeme si tady ukázat to typické oblečení výstřední, takže na hlavě měl pravý potápka klobouk, který byl zdeformovaný. Přezdívalo se mu Tatra, takže měl vypadat jako tatranské štíty. Pod Tatrou měl pravý potápka Havla, což byl účes. Jelikož máme 17. listopad brzy, tak jenom připomenu, že vlastně s účesem Havel, já jsem si setkal krátce po sametové revoluci a myslel jsem si, že je to podle Václava Havla. Takže Václavu Havlovi byly 4 roky, když vznikl ten skutečný Havel. A byly to tedy delší vlasy vzadu, zakončené nakulmovanou ruličkou. Proč tedy to označení Havel? Tak jedna varianta je, že to bylo podle novináře Františka Havla, který nosil takovéto vlasy. A druhá, která mě se líbí víc, že to je podle spisovatele básníka Karla Havlíčka Borovského, známého provokatéra, autora epigramů, které asi budete znát, tedy čeští účastníci. Který na vyobrazeních, který z 19. století, má také dlouhé vlasy, což bylo v 19. století obvyklé. Takže tedy z toho Havlíčka mohl vzniknout Havel. Je zajímavé, že tyhle termíny velice rychle v českém prostředí zdomácněly, takže zhruba už za rok se ten termín používá a všichni vědí, že se jedná o výstřední účes. A začíná nám kampaň proti Havlovi. Takže co všechno nemohl člověk s Havlem? Nemohl samozřejmě na taneční parkét, nemohl vystupovat jako hudebník a nemohl hrát fotbal. Takže zdá se, že tyhle činnosti mládenci z Havly dělali. Některé pražské střední školy dokonce vydaly nařízení, že tedy jejich studenti nemohou chodit do školy s Havlem.
Ještě jednou, jaký rok to byl?
1942. Takže ti mladíci si museli Havly ostříhat, ale nevzdali se toho výstředního účesu, takže vymysleli nový, který bylo možné odložit. Jo? Nebo si ho vytvořit a zase pak jako teda se vrátit do normálu nebo do mainstreamu. Tenhle účes se nazýval Eman. A byla to ta rulička, ale byla nakulmovaná takhle na hlavě. Takže ne v týle jako delší, ale takhle přímo na hlavě. Tohle označení se třeba objevuje i v 50. letech, pak už s rock'n'rollovou generací. Jaký je původ emana? Tak opět máme dvě varianty. Jedna je, že by to mohlo být podle postavy z oblíbeného románu Muži v offsideu Karla Poláčka. Kde je postava emana, který je takový, řekněme, trošku troubá, nebo takový jako neúplně bystrý, nebo u nás na pedagogické fakultě říkáme, není nejostřejší tužka v penále. A druhá možnost je, že to bylo podle Emanuela Moravce, což byl ministr školství a lidové osvěty. Nevím, jestli jste někdy viděli jeho fotografii, ale Emanuel Moravec si ani při největší fantazii Emana na hlavě udělat nemohl, protože byl kompletně holohlavý. A byl to právě Emanuel Moravec, který, když se stal v lednu 1942 ministrem školství a lidové osvěty, kdo zakročoval proti těmto výstřednostem. Tak půjdeme dál v popisu potápek. Tak máme tam potom to oblečení, sako, které bylo přehnaně volné, kostkovaného vzoru, a nebo naopak bylo také někdy sněhově bílé. Tím chtěli říct ti chlapci, že nepracují pro nacistickou třetí říši, protože ve sněhově bílém saku se velice rychle ve fabrice ušpiníte. No, takže prostě, když jste potkali mládence v bílém saku, bylo jasné, že nesměřuje do továrny pracovat, ale že směřuje do kavárny. Potápky nosily pestrobarevné kravaty, jaksi široké, rozšířené kravaty, a nebo naopak tkaničku od bot, místo uvázanou kolem krku, místo kravaty. Nosili buď přehnaně volné kalhoty, a nebo naopak velice úzké a krátké. To vidíte na tom obrázku tady. Bylo to proto, aby byly vidět ponožky, které měly být barevné, pruhovaně barevné. Pak následovaly boty, které měly být na vysokých podrážkách. Botám se říkalo Maďary, nevíme proč, to se mi nepodařilo zjistit, jestli měli nějakou souvislost s Maďarskem. A ty podrážky měly být zhruba trojnásobné, než je obvyklé, a těm se říkalo sádla. Třeba na venkově si vyráběli potápky ty vysoké boty z použitých pneumatik, ze starých pneumatik. A jakýsi vrchol těchto výstředností zaznamenaný na jaře 1941 představovaly žárovky, které si jeden potápka namontoval do těch vysokých podrážek. Od těch žárovek vedl drátky, tedy pod kalhoty do kapes. V těch kapsách měl baterky a když odbočoval doprava nebo doleva, tak zapnul příslušnou žárovku místo blinkru. Ze 3 zdrojů mám potvrzenou, existenci tohohle člověka. Jak se jmenoval, nevím, ale že takhle chodil po Praze, mám doloženo. Takže takhle vypadali ti swingoví výstředníci, jak já jim říkám, jaksi trošku odborným jazykem. A samozřejmě nacisté proti nim vystupovali, taktéž čeští fašisté. A vlastně medializace tady toho fenoménu přispěla jenom k jeho větší popularitě. Takže v březnu 1941 byl zatčen v Plzni na Korzu, uprostřed, tedy v centru města, mladý člověk v tomhle výstředním oblečení. Jenom prostě kvůli tomu oblečení. Je to poprvé v českých dějinách, kdy byl někdo zatčen jenom kvůli oblečení. Ten člověk nic neříkal, neprotestoval proti ničemu, neurážel nikoho a jenom za to oblečení byl zatčen. Zprávu o tom přinesly všechny protektorátní noviny a nelze se divit, že v následujících měsících se takto oblečení mládenci objevili prakticky ve všech českých městech. Ta zpráva tedy hovořila mimo jiné o tom, že ten chlapec byl dělník ze Škodovky. A že tedy je škoda, že čeští dělníci jsou takhle pomílení, že jaksi od nějakých intelektuálů by se to dalo očekávat, ale od dělníků ne. V takovém smyslu to vyznívalo. Takže tolik asi z mé strany k potápkám a k bedlám.
Okay. So I continue?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now Petr has talked about the Czech swing youth, and I want to tell you more about the German swing youth. So these are private photos from the 1930s that we received from another historian in Bremen, and her name is Petr Koura, and she did her master thesis in the 19th, and she was asking around in newspapers, is there anybody who was member of swing youth or listened to jazz music during National Socialism? So there were like 15 persons, and she could really make interviews with these witnesses. And now they all passed away, but these photos are from Rudolf Engeln. It's the guy, this one. And yes, so it shows how they dressed up. So it's similar to the Czech swing youth. They dressed up like English gentlemen with these coats and the hats. And I don't know if Petr talked about this umbrella story.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
And this is important for Bremen because to show that they have sympathy for British and American culture, they would always have an umbrella, but it would always be closed, even if it would rain, because it was only an accessoire, just to show, okay, we have sympathies for Great Britain. And so, yeah, people could see who is part of the gang. And the girls, yes, would also dress up like American film stars or use makeup, which was not well seen by National Socialists, didn't like women to wear short dresses and skirts and to make up their faces. And also for the boys, it was important to have these longer hair, not this Führerhaarschnitt, which was very, very short. This was this militaristic haircut, and the boys wanted to have longer hair, like façon cut was the name. And there were only special hair coiffure where they could receive this because it was not what they were supposed to dress up. Yes, so like this was Bremen swing youth, and so we know from these interviews that there were perhaps 150 to 200 persons in this scene, and they mostly came from merchant families who had more financial possibilities, who had also, because you know Bremen and Hamburg are close to the Northern Sea, and there are a lot of merchant families who had some negotiations with Great Britain, so they were more liberal. And also the schools they attended were more liberal schools. And in Hamburg it was the same. And the point is that, I mean, Hamburg is bigger than Bremen, and there the swing scene was like up to 500 young people. So it was much bigger, and they had more cafes and bars where they would meet up. And it was more visible in the city. And they also had some gangs where they would fight with Hitler Youth. And there are even some stories that they would take the guitar strings and would just tie them at some place, like just really fight with them and tie them around. So yeah, they were really defending themselves. And then they made up an action in 1941, and it was like they celebrated the arrival of a Reichsstatistenführer, but this is something which didn't exist in Nazi hierarchy. So they just invented it, a function, and it was just to make fun of Nazi functionaries. And then, I mean, Nazi regime found out about this action, and so then they were more focused on persecuting the swing youth, and even like the highest level of Nazi functionaries like Himmler and Heydrich said, okay, now we're going to persecute them, and their leaders will be sent to concentration camps. So they would be sent to concentration camps only for listening to jazz or dancing swing. So this is one of these examples now. This is Günther Discher. He was born in 1925 in Hamburg, and he was collecting discs from 1937 on, and he had like hundreds of discs, and it was very expensive and very difficult to receive during the time. And yes, he was part of this Hamburg swing scene. And then he was arrested on 1st November 1942. First, he was brought to the police prison in Hamburg, Fuhlsbüttel, and he was accused of illegal trade of jazz discs and being a leader of swing youth. So it was exactly what they wanted to find, and they just caught him. And then in the beginning of 1943, he was deported with 16 other swing boys from Hamburg police prison to Moringen concentration camp. And Nazis made up 2 concentration camps for youth. So one was Moringen near Göttingen, it was for boys. And then there was another one in Uckermark, which is just near Ravensbrück, which was the female concentration camp. And this was for minor girls. And then, like Günther Discher and the other swing boys had to do forced labor for defense industry. And during this forced labor and during their lunchtime or breaks, they performed swing songs just to have some strength and some music and to recover and to be together. And we know that the song Jeepers Creepers from Louis Armstrong is one of these songs that they would perform together. And this is the reason why we decided to take this song for our liberation dance that we will perform on 8 May 2025, and which you will have the possibility to learn on Sunday in the class, and we will then later do as a flash mob, because the idea is when we had our swing exchange weekend in Bremen with like 80 participants, international swing dancers, we made up this choreography to the song, and then everybody went back to their communities and teach it to their community. And the idea is that we really form some European remembrance space on 8 May 2025. It will be from Bremen, from Hamburg, from Aachen, from Graz, from Prague, and from Tricity, and perhaps even from Ankara. And so this is the idea. And so Günther, he survived this concentration camp, and he was then liberated by the Allied forces and returned to Hamburg. So this is a passport and identification card he received from the British occupation zone. And so he could return to Hamburg. He could finish his commercial formation, but he needed medical treatments because of the camp injuries that he had from the forced labor. And then, I mean, he lost all the discs because of the Allied bombing. And then he started again to collect his discs. And he became a DJ, and he was the oldest DJ in Germany and widely known as being an expert for jazz and swing. And the film Swing Kids that we will show tomorrow was inspired by his life story. Mm-hmm. Lately, I found 2 female biographies. This is very rare. We don't know much about female swing dancers. There were less witnesses than male dancers, and there was an exhibition in the Memorial for German Resistance, Gedenkstätte Deutscher Widerstand, and they were showing German women and girls fighting against National Socialism. And this is one example of Hamburg. There are 2 girls, and this is originally one photo, and it comes from a Bergen-Belsen trial. So they survived camp, and then during denazification processes, they would witness to punish and accuse the traitors there. And because some of them were in Bergen-Belsen and also in Ravensbrück, where they were sent to. So Jutta and Inga Madlung, they were born in 1920 and 21 in Hamburg, and also were part of this Hamburg swing scene. They were known as the Andrew Sisters. So they really performed like this song, Bei mir bist du schön, and all these songs that you know. And their father was a Jewish lawyer, and they were well educated. They had, were prosper and went to really good schools in Hamburg. And because the father was Jewish, even though he converted to Protestantism, he had some disadvantages. And the 2 girls, they also had one brother, but the 2 girls, they continued to see Jewish friends who had to wear this yellow star and were marked. And they would continue to be friends with them, and because of this, they got in conflict with local Hitler youth. And they told them, don't see your Jewish friends. We don't want it. And they refused. So they would continue seeing them. And so on 19th June 1942, they were arrested at home because of their critical opinion, and yeah, because they were telling also political jokes, but I mean, one of these Hitler youth probably denounced them. And what is interesting, because this document, it originates from Vereinigte Verfolgte des Naziregimes. It's the VVN, so it was an association of those persecuted by Nazi regime. So all those who survived would gather together and collect documents and proofs that they have been persecuted. And the letter is from 1946, and it says, in Sachen Jutta und Ingemaria Madlung kann ich bestätigen, dass beide wegen Verächtlichmachung der Reichsregierung und Spielen englischer Tanzplatten ins KZ Ravensbrück überwiesen wurden. Ich kenne beide Mädchen aus meiner Ravensbrücker KZ-Zeit und weiß, dass sie als politische Häftlinge geführt wurden. Sie beantragen die Ausfertigung der gelben Postkarte und Bearbeitung dieser Sache. So they were arrested because making fun of the federal government and because they played English dancing discs. And what is also interesting is that there is a proof that they have been political prisoners, because in most of the cases we know, swing youth who were in the concentration camps couldn't prove that they were political prisoners. And you had to prove that you were a political prisoner to receive some compensation. Yes, thank you. Okay, so after they were kept in this police prison in Fußbüttel in Hamburg, then they were deported to this women concentration camp because they were older than 18, and also performed this forced labor. Oh, what is this? Okay. And what is really interesting, it is the only case I know so far that someone received this compensation, and it was only possible because of the contacts and the knowledge of the father, who still was alive, because he was a lawyer, and because of contacts of others to prove that they have been political prisoners. Because all the other swing youth didn't receive some compensation. And I think now I'm at the end of the presentation. And so we have something to continue, but for the German part, it will be the ending. So I'm asking you if you have some questions left. Yes?
Was there something like a moral panic in the public at large concerning jazz music? Because you quoted, I think, the morally corrupting effect of the music. Was it just the view of the regime, or was there widespread moral panic in the public at large?
I think, like jazz, when it came to Germany from the 1920s, and also swing dancing, or like the Charleston, Josephine Baker came with La Revue Nègre in 1929. It was more in the big cities, and it became very fast, very popular. And there were also always conservative voices. Even before National Socialists, there were conservatives denouncing this kind of music, especially the hot jazz, because it's very strange to this formal German militaristic and everything. So they are swing youth telling, if you love swing, you cannot walk marschieren, marschieren, marschieren like this. So it is impossible for them. And I think it was also one question because the young people would try to be more open towards this British and American culture, especially the dresses, this more being sexy and taking makeup. So I think this is also a generation question, because young people always want to have their own. And I think this is also what, for me, is very interesting, is these swing youth who were against the regime, they were fully socialized during National Socialism. They didn't know anything other. They were in the Jungschar, like from 10 to 14. I know it from my grandfather. Like my grandfather is 1925 born. So they had to go Jungschar, they would sing, they would hike, they would go through the forest. Okay, then Hitler Youth or Bund Deutscher Mädel, and then it would become militaristic, always marschieren, marschieren, marschieren. And also this ideological, there was special promotion and propaganda material for these young people. And the Nazis came up with this idea of youth events, and they were not like, it was for many of those a possibility to do something nice, to have events they didn't have before and to attend them. And it was like, the principle was Jugend für die Jugend. So it was run by other youth, and it was not an adult telling them something. So it was youth would be trained by Nazi camps and would train other youth. And even though it was this principle, there would be during the years people who would reject it because they just said, okay, we want some personal freedom. We just want to decide how we spend our time after school. And it wasn't possible because they were supposed to attend Hitler Youth or Bund Deutscher Mädel, and it was obligatory since 1936, I think. And so this is very interesting that Nazis couldn't succeed in fully indoctrinate German youth. And this is also the reason why these swing youth belong in the research of NS resistance. If you have a broader definition, you have like, so on the one side you have really political and militaristic resistance, like Stauffenberg and some attempts to murder or bomb Hitler. And on the other side you have this small non-conformist behavior, like don't saying Hitler Gruß, and just because you had to do this, and if you just wouldn't do it and just say good morning, it was already a sign that you were non-conformist. So we have like non-conformist behavior, and then we have these protests like Weiße Rose, and when they would publish flyers with some ideological or some own ideas. So we have this swing youth, which is in this non-conformist area of NS resistance, which makes it interesting because they were not political. They were not fully against NS regime, but they just wanted some personal freedom, some individualistic possibilities.
Jestli jsem dobře rozuměl otázce, ptal jste se nám tu morální paniku, jestli to vyvolávalo, tak v našem českém prostředí vyšla kniha, která se našla i v Německu, Mezinárodní žid, International Jew, autor Henry Ford, známý automobilový magnát, který to ale nenapsal. On si na to vzal samozřejmě nájemné novináře. Existuje pro ně v angličtině jeden výraz, který je trošku politicky nekorektní, tak ho nebudu uvádět. A ghostwriter je to anglicky teda, česky je to nekorektní ten překlad. A prostě jako dneska rodina Henryho Forda tvrdí, že to nenapsal on a že s tím nemá nic společného. Ta kniha je čistý rasismus a jedna kapitola je tam věnovaná právě jazzu. A to, když si přečtete, tak máte pocit, že se sem valí do Evropy něco strašného a musíte zavřít dveře a okna a jako schovávat se před tím. A samozřejmě jako je tam konstrukt toho, jakože jazz je židonegerské, nějaké nebezpečí, že to vymysleli teda černoši, Afroameričani a rozšiřují to židé. A vychází to z toho, že Židé byli často jako producenty, ty organizátoři hudebního života a hodně těch hudebníků běložských, jazzových, jako Benny Goodman, tak byli židovského původu. Takže jako tady dochází k tomuhle tomu jako spojení, že Černoši to vymysleli a Židi to rozšiřujou. A dokonce i jako, že se jim to jako nelíbí těm Židům, ale že to jako komerčně úspěšný, tak to vlastně jako dělají jako pro ten biznis. Jo. Takže úplně to jako vlastně, tam cítíte ty středověký stereotypy, že ty Židé jsou nějaký obchodníci a jim vlastně jedno, s čím obchodujou. Takže tahle knížka jako vyšla u nás v roce 25 a v Německu byla velice oblíbená mezi nacisty. Takže třeba americký psycholog Gilbert, když se ptal v norimberském procesu těch obžalovaných nacistických válečných zločinců, jaké knihy je formovaly, tak tohle byla jedna z nich, kde ten jazz je takhle interpretován. A ještě jak Natalie mluvila o tom, že mládež má potírat mládež, tak u nás vlastně taky byl takový trošku pokus založit organizaci, která se jmenovala Kuratorium pro výchovu mládeže v Čechách a na Moravě. A moc to jako neuspělo, vymyslel to Moravec a netajil se tím, že vzorem byl Hitlerjugend. Že jako založíme organizaci, jejímž vzorem je německá Hitlerjugend. Mělo to být vyhlášeno 27. května 1942, ale jak víte, ten den došlo k atentátu na Heydricha, takže jaksi start organizace byl odložen o půl roku nebo o 3/4 roku. Nakonec nevím proč, to nacisté vyhlásili ve Slaném, takže ne v Praze, v divadle. A to tak, že prostě tam nakomandovali žáky ze Slaného, kteří jako to nevěděli, že ten den přijede do Slaného Moravec, až vyhlásí tam kuratorium. Asi třeba by nepřišli do školy, jako byla obava. No a prostě existuje jako z toho zpráva, že teda na balkóně toho divadla byli starší žáci a že teda do toho Moravcova jako projevu tleskali a že do toho skandovali Eman je vůl. Takže oni si z něj nepokrytě dělali srandu prostě, jo. Takže to byl takový prostě pokus o založení české Hitlerjugend. Dopadl dost neslavně.
Okay, I think then we will give over at our Polish colleagues. So.
How to do that?
This is the much meat.
Okay.
Then you put it
Okay.
inside.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wow.
Here, I need the other
Okay, it works. Okay.
here, there is something missing.
To ja będę ci przerzucać, Michał.
I put it in.
Nie, będę stał, bo nie chcę gdzieś siedzieć.
Nie, no nie,
There's another one.
nie, no albo siedzimy razem, albo stoimy.
To siedzimy, dobra.
No, bo to...
Ja nie lubię siedzieć.
No tak, no ale...
Dziś
sobie
też nie
no.
mogę usiedzieć.
No dobra,
Wiesz, jak jest.
Wiem, o co chodzi, ale nie może być to, że jedno stoi, a drugie siedzi.
Nie, no dobra.
It's the one finish altogether.
Ah, yes, it's here.
We can start the second one. Yeah.
Okej.
Where is the full screen?
It's the PDF, so
There's no full screen? Yeah, full screen would be perfect.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Okay,
Michał,
so this
take
is
your,
like
take your...
forward, backwards.
Okay,
Where is it?
I can handle it. I will,
that's
I can.
better. Cool.
I will. Will you take your seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so this was theory and history, and now we are practice part of the project. So I am Justyna, and this is Michał. We are working together in the Museum of Gdynia. Gdynia is at the seaside in Poland, very beautifully situated.
Have you were on a Polish seaside in Gdynia or Gdańsk or Sopot? This is called the Three City, as Natalie said before. So this is like three big cities, around 1 million of people living near seaside.
Exactly, exactly. But I am also working in the institution which is called American Corner, Gdańsk, and this is we are one of the one of 600 institutions run by American Embassy all over the world. And what we do, just in general, is promoting the American culture. So this is how we actually ended up in this project, because we were asked to join Natalie's team to put some Polish perspective, and we have no Petr in Poland, so we are dealing with terra incognita in Poland, and so the research about the persecution of jazz musicians and swing dancers actually are initiated with this project, and they are happening right now. So we are even psyched to see that, because no one ever studied it, no one ever researched that topic. For many kinds of reasons, mostly because it wasn't the topic number one when it came to the Polish experience of the Second World War. Also, the lack of sources also contributed to this kind of situations, and so we sat together and we asked ourselves, okay, so what could we do to promote the topic a little bit more and to spread it around? And in the museum, we usually, what we do is exhibitions. So we said, okay, so maybe we could, provide some kind of graphic design liberation of this topic, and we decided to move it around from Bremen, Gdynia to Prague for everyone to enjoy it next year in summer. And we, as American Corner, and my colleague Natalia, who is sitting in the first row, what we usually do is working with the young people. So we are providing the workshops and classes for the Polish youth when we are telling them about this topic. So first, Michał will tell you a little bit about the Polish history of jazz and a little bit about what we are going to present on the exhibition and where the exhibition will came up. And very briefly, I will tell you how we're trying to deal with the TikTok teenagers to hook them on the topic of persecution of jazz musicians in Poland, Czech, and Bohemia. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Michał, go ahead.
So the working title of the exhibition will be presented in Bremen, Gdynia, and Prague is Persecution of Czech, German, and Polish swing dancers and jazz musicians by Nazi regime. As Justyna said, in Polish perspective, this is not well-known topic. There has been some articles, there has been some voices of the survivors of Second World War in occupied Poland, but mostly it was the case of male musicians, not the audience. So right now, our researcher, we will tell about researchers in later part of the presentation, are searching also for the stories of the female audience, female musicians, and the people that lived in various parts of Poland that were part of the Polish swing society during Nazi regime. And okay, let's move forward.
Where we are from?
Oh, but we are from Gdynia. This is our museum.
Yes, it's okay, but no. It's at the seaside, so we are basically working at the beach. It's very convenient. Gdynia is a very young city. This is also worth.
Gdynia was formed in 90. It's a village that counts from 13th century, but it was established as a city in 1926. So it was built in a scratch as a modernist city, just like Tel Aviv and Kovno. Yes, Latvia. So there were like a few modernist cities that were built from scratch during 20s. Gdynia is one of them. So this is a modernist city. We are telling history of the city, but also we are very keen on exhibitions about design, about culture, music, all artistic cases. So okay, yeah.
This is how
Few
it looks
glimpses,
like
yeah.
inside, yes.
And inside and outside, yes, because we have a viewpoint. And okay, I will tell something about the differences between our regions. It's called Pomerania, so the coast, Polish coast, and the general government. So it was the part of central Poland and later Galicia during the Nazi regime, during the Nazi occupation. First of all, the first jazz concert in Poland was in 1922. This is the photo of Zygmunt Karasiński Quintet. The concert took place in Oaza in Warsaw, the Oaza Club. It existed to 30s. So it appeared quite fast. Also, the independence of Poland, when we had a transport of music and new trends, new styles from abroad. Before Gdynia, it was a port of free city of Gdańsk. Lots of records and fashion came to Poland, which was only a few years after gaining independence. And therefore, the jazz and swing movement quickly spread across the Poland, the young country. Mostly, it was first of all a big thing in big cities. Later, it spread slowly also across the rest of the country. Warsaw and Krakow was the main part, like, of the jazz movement to 1939, and also the east part of Poland, which later became part of Soviet Union. Okay, we can move forward. Yes. So in the mid-30s, this is like I will translate it. This is a picture from a newspaper. The Melodist jazz band. This was one of the jazz band of Alfred Melodist, a famous musician. The jazz concerts were mostly took place in restaurants. After the first set of the concert, which was more laid down in tempo, in BPM. Later there was dancing parties. It mostly the big concerts were in big cities, and also in YMCA organization, which spread also across the middle
American.
Yes, American organization. Between also smaller venues, smaller places. It was like a cultural organization. So Warsaw, Krakow, Gdynia, and Łódź were the places where our city also, where YMCA organization took place, and jazz became more and more popular. Later, during Second World War, 1939, we have a difficulty which we are slowly which we have overcome during our researches, between two different situations. Jazz from the perspective of Pomerania, from our city Gdynia, and also from perspective of Sopot and the part of the Poland that were after September 1939 became the part of the Nazi Germany. There were prohibitions about jazz music, jazz dancing. It's very similar to the case that was said before, because it was a part of the Nazi regime. Gdynia also, the society, the musicians, and also the dance society, the swing lovers, were displaced in early October 1939, after the end of the fights around Gdynia, Pomerania, to the general government, to the central Poland. Therefore, who stayed from the Polish from the Polish people? About, in the case of Gdynia, about 15% of the population before, which was the population that were workers in
Harbor.
maritime
Maritime
in maritime harbor Yes, and in Warport, I forgot the word, but they were workers only. The new population of Gdynia was the German society that came, and the Polish society was displayed to the other parts of Poland, to the general government. Therefore, also the new musicians came, mostly from Italy. We are researching this topic. There are lots of Italian musicians in very small amount of articles that we have found, that our researchers are searching for. They were brought from abroad, and they lived also in Gdynia. Later, they also became jeńcy wojenni, war prisoners after Hitler and Mussolini have disconnected in their war topics. One slide before. Okay, this is George Scott. George Scott was an American performer who performed in Warsaw. And just a few words. I know there's a lot of time, but I will shorten it up. George, the different situation was in general government, where there were no strict limitations on how the jazz musicians or listening to jazz music would look like. It was like an occupied zone. It was not like it was a part of Nazi regime, but it was not like part of the country. It was the second zone. So a lot of musicians from abroad performed there. Also, the musicians that went off the prison, that were on the front, when they were fighting against Nazi regime. The Polish musicians, when they came from the prison, they also played music, and there were live concerts. Also, Polish people were attending to these concerts. Why? Mostly because some of the musicians, the international musicians, helped them to came into the venues. Some of dance parties even were attended by the Polish people. So maybe we think there were no limitations, but these meetings in the concert venues and in the apartments, which was more common in this situation, were also the meeting of conspiracy, where the society of young people, the swing lovers, jazz lovers, were thinking how to fight the Nazi regime. As we spoke about the clothing and the style, the boys, young men, wore long coats. We haven't got these photos yet because there are clearance of the published right. We are getting these photos from the many private persons. But long coats, the selekcja na bramce. The selection before entrance to the club wasn't as strict as we think so. So often they had even small guns, revolvers, ready for the attack or for this conspiracy. The very popular form were the concerts in the flats during the occupation. After in the evening hours, all of the people, the Polish people that lived in the flats, should cover their windows so any light would not come inside. The private life was really rich back then. The parties went, and the music helped also in talking about conspiracy, fighting the regime. A lot of even amateur musicians that played jazz in the underground died during the uprising, the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. This is a slide. Of course, this is not a strict archive photo. We can see, if you saw the film The Pianist by Roman Polanski, this is Władysław Szpilman. He was one of the most famous players in Warsaw Ghetto. He survived the occupation and the massacre of Warsaw after the Warsaw Uprising, and became a very big persona in Polish radio and in Polish music, jazz scene and also classical scene. So the scene went big in the Warsaw Ghetto, 1942, like the uprising in Warsaw Ghetto is the one border that ends the musical scene in Warsaw. Second one is the Warsaw uprising. Can we get another photo? Yes, okay. So there were concerts that were announced in the Polish press back then. Here we have this is a concert of George Scott and the other musicians. We see musicians and vocalists, and the orchestra. So they were announced, and Polish people were attending. Also, the chief of general government, Hans Frank, itself was a fan of music, and in Krakow, he from his initiative created an orchestra which was performing. They were Polish musicians, international musicians. This was like orchestra when the musicians were changing during the times. The last concert was in 1945 when the Soviet front was coming. So this orchestra was playing through the whole time of the occupation. Can I have the next slide? Okay. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
6 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. We just have a few. These are pixelated photos, but these are photos from inside of the places in Gdynia and Gdańsk. But I told it before about the situation. So okay, we can go to the next slide.
Yes, it was. The war was also in Gdynia.
Yes, of course. Yes. Okay. Okay. These are the boards from today workshops. We are working on the exhibition. Okay. No, the two before. There. No, not this one. This one. Okay. The graphic designer will be Jan Rosiek, who is a graphic designer for many exhibitions in our region in Pomerania, who is a jazz fan and swing fan, and he is very keen into the graphic design from 30s, from 40s, and a vintage style one. I think, as we spoke in January, we will have even in December the full graphic project. So the exhibition in Brema, in Prague, and in Gdynia will be, of course, in different languages, in 2 languages. In 3 languages. Yes. Okay, we can answer the next slide. Yes, okay. Okay. Oh, stop. Okay. Researchers of the project, we are happy that we have 2 important researchers. One of on your left. This is Jan Daniluk. Jan Daniluk from Museum of Gdańsk.
No.
Currently, Second World War.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. he has been in a lot of museums, but he's a researcher. But
Very good man.
Yes, but he's a researcher in the topic of Pomerania during Nazi occupation. So
Danzig, Gottenhafen.
Yes. Gottenhafen was Gdynia during the German occupation, the name of the city. So he's researching like the part that really never have been discussed. What was with this jazz in our region? The second man is Krzysztof Karpiński. He's a jazz fan, jazz researcher, and a lawyer himself. He wrote a book. If you are keen on translating, because sadly there's no Czech and English translation, but this is like a Bible of Polish jazz.
No, it's not. Well, this is a Bible of the Polish male jazz, because not even one.
There are women there in this book also.
As the mothers of the musicians.
Yes. So Krzysztof Karpiński, he wrote Był Jazz. So Był Jazz means there was a jazz. Krzyk jazz bandów w międzywojennej Polsce. The scream of jazz band in the middle, in the Poland between two wars, First World War and Second World War. He also, this is a book from 2014. So therefore, in 11 years ago, he was researching it very slightly, because there were less and less sources. And now, like in this exhibition, he will show new light on this Polish topic. So it's very also important for us to show internationally.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay.
In this case. Yes. Okay.
Okay, so in my 3 minutes that left, I would like to tell you a little bit what we are in the American Corner, the brave team of 2 women, do to spread the news about the jazz persecution of the jazz musician and swing dancers. So this is actually our place. So what we planned for this project is to do 4 different kinds, even 5 different kinds of workshops, just to hit the topic from different angles and to mix it up a little bit with the Polish audience. And obviously we don't use, because the workshops are already happening, and we don't use these long names because none of the young people would even read the title of the presentation. But this I wanted to show you, to tell you about how we are thinking about this project and how we are presenting this project to the next generation. So we are talking about silence harmony and understanding the persecution of jazz musicians in Nazi Germany. We are focusing on harmony against hate and combating racism through the jazzman's resilience. Because from American Corner point of view, we are an institution who provides the workshops and the safe space for the human rights, just in general. So the fighting intolerance is very important for us. We are the only Gdańsk institution that we have a rainbow flag in our windows. So we also want to, to spread a little bit this topic and tell not only about the history, but also about the presence and how could those very young people relate to the topic. So we are not hitting only the historical points in during our workshops, but also we are trying to engage them and ask them if we are really done with the topic, or there is something that actually left and echoing from the history. We also talk with them about totalitarianism and the suppression of the jazzmen and jazzwomen and swing dancers during the Nazi era. We're telling about the broken rhythm because the totalitarian topic also in Poland, which was at some point fed up with the topic, now has to be restored because of the uprising right wing and those very concerning processes that are happening right now in the Polish society. And of course, we are hitting the topic of the jazz music in the context of Black liberation. Even the communism regime pointed out this one, and also in the whole relation of Black Lives Matters is also very important for us. So, so we are providing historical understanding, cultural awareness, artistic freedom, resilience and courage, reflection on modern context, empathy and tolerance, inspiration for action. This is what we want to do. And what are we want to reach? We would love that kids would deeper understand the historical persecution of jazz musicians and swing dancers, but not only the historical facts that all of you could hear about, but also about the reasons why. So why they were persecuted, why they couldn't dance, why they couldn't dress up like however they wanted. We would like to highlight the awareness of importance of preserving artistic freedom and cultural diversity. We would like to be an inspiration to appreciate the role of music in resistance and in culture in general, because this is always this part of life who gives a lot to those who are just engaging in it. So we also would like provide a better understanding of the historical context and just show how totalitarianism can infiltrate every single aspect of life, even the way you dance or you dress up or whatever. Also we would like to spread the news about the jazz and swing. So because the Polish program of the school programs are very strict, and there is no place to tell about the jazz history in general, or the swing not even mentioned. So it's important for us to also spread the news that hey, there's something going on. There are still people who dress up beautifully all over the world, in Prague, in Bremen, and dance every day or every week. So this is what we are trying to do, and also bridging these two words of music and history and social change, that and make it very clear that everything is rooted somewhere. Okay, thank you very much. Now we can go to the dance party. No, like the time is up, and I don't want to stop you. Thank you for your patience. And if you have any kind of questions to me how we are hanging out with you tonight, although I'm not a dancer, but...
And watch out of the exhibition about persecution of jazz musicians and swing dancers in Germany, in Poland, and in Czech. It will be in 3 cities, 3 countries, first time in history united in this topic. So this is really a big thing.
Yes, and we will see you all in the summer next year for the exhibition. So thank you very much.